These are all Rubik's cubes, a 2x2, a classic 3x3, and a void cube. I was perfectly happy with them sitting collecting dust until the Wi-Fi went down, and no Wi-Fi means the end of the world. No, it meant it was actually time to learn how to solve each of these cubes. I blew the dust off of the 2x2, gave it a clean, and gave it a good muddle up, then I tried solving it without knowing what I was doing, because come on, surely it's easy, right? Now, there is an easy way to solve this cube, and I'll show you while I speed up an around 6-minute struggle of not knowing what I was doing. The first step is to solve one layer correctly. What I mean by this is not just solve one face. You can see how the cube on the right would not be correct, but the cube on the left, it's exactly how we want it. Then, you need to flip the cube upside down so that the solved face is not visible. You need to look at the remaining unsolved cubelets, apparently that's what they're called, and determine which has two matching colours with the cube beneath it. If there are none, then you can rotate the top layer until you find a match. If there are no perfect matches but the colours do match up, they're just not in the right position, then keep the cubelet in the right square closest to you and do the following. You're going to rotate the top layer clockwise, rotate the right layer clockwise, rotate the top layer anti-clockwise, rotate the left layer anti-clockwise, rotate the top layer clockwise, rotate the right layer anti-clockwise, rotate the top layer anti-clockwise, and finally left layer clockwise. This series of moves is called an algorithm, and it's one of 5 that I had to learn. Repeat the algorithm as many times as you need to find a perfect match somewhere. Then check the other cubelets to see if they match the colours beneath it. If they don't, keep this perfectly correct cubelet on the close right and repeat the algorithm. You may have to repeat this step multiple times until all of the cubelets match the colours that are beneath them. These won't perfectly be in place, but the colours are there. Once all of the colours match, you're ready for the final step. Flip your cube upside down again, and now we're going to keep this yellow square in the bottom right corner cubelet, either on the front or on the right. Then we're going to use our final algorithm. Right clockwise, top clockwise, right anti-clockwise, top anti-clockwise. And that's it. Just repeat this until the yellow's at the bottom. Keep that same front face pointing you. Only rotate the bottom layer to bring the next yellow cube to the bottom right. It doesn't matter whether or not your cube is on the front face, as long as the yellow is attached to the bottom right cubelet. Repeat this step with all the remaining yellows, and then you're done. The cube has been solved. After my 1 hour and 6-minute attack with the 2x2, I googled many explanations, tried to understand them, tried to put them into practice, but I gave up. I then watched a tutorial, learned the method, and retried without the tutorial. I got stuck a few times, so I re-looked at the tutorial and then gave it another try. This time I remembered all the steps. I was fit to complete the cube in a relatively fast time, and the more I tried, the quicker the time would get. I was even fit to bring this time down from 2 minutes all the way down to 47 seconds. After I conquered the 2x2, the internet was still playing up, so now it was time for the classic 3x3 cube. I jumbled it up and attempted to solve it, but I had to resort to watching a tutorial. Once I had solved it with the tutorial, I tried by myself and failed. So back to the tutorial I went. First, you need to create a white cross around the white face with those edge pieces having the same colour alteration as the centre pieces of the middle layer. Green, orange, blue and red. If it's not in the right order, then the corners will not match up. To put the corners into their desired spaces, for example this white, green and orange corner, you'll have to put it between the green and orange face. Luckily for me, it's already there. Now, all we need to do is follow the algorithm. Right clockwise, top clockwise, right anti-clockwise, top anti-clockwise, R, U, R prime, U prime, and repeat as many times as you need until the piece goes in correctly. Then, repeat for the remaining corners until you solve the first layer of the cube. To solve the middle layer, find the middle pieces that don't have yellow. Then, line up the colour with the corresponding face and determine if it needs to go to the right or to the left. Whichever way it needs to go, rotate the top layer once in the opposite direction. Then, do the algorithm I taught you for the corners once. Rotate the front face in the opposite direction the piece needed to go. Rotate the top layer in the direction that it needs to go. Reset the front face. Now repeat this with the other sides until you complete the middle layer. Now for the final layer, make a yellow cross, and to do this, accumulate any yellow pieces on the top in the top left corner or in a horizontal line, and then rotate the front clockwise and perform the same algorithm as you did for the corners until you get the yellow piece on the right middle side of the front face. Then rotate the front face back so that the yellow is now on top. Then you've made a cross. The second last step, find two colours that match their faces. Position these faces on the back and right side. Rotate the right clockwise, top clockwise, right anti-clockwise, top clockwise, right clockwise, rotate the top twice, and lastly, right anti-clockwise. If you turn the top layer, you should now find that all of the edges match up. Lastly, you need to solve the corners. This is exactly the same as the 2x2. If there are no cubelets correctly orientated, or that match the colours correctly, perform the algorithm from anywhere. But once you do have a match, keep it in the closest right cubelet to you, and then perform the same algorithm as the 2x2. Repeat this as many times as necessary until all the corners match up with their faces. The final step is the exact same as the 2x2 cube. Flip it upside down and perform the corner solving algorithm from earlier, making sure that you keep the same face facing you the entire time. Otherwise, you'll completely mess up the cube, and we don't want that because you'll have to start over. And just like that, the cube has been solved. It didn't take me long to get good at these algorithms, and I was fit to bring my first time solving it of 7 minutes down to
boom, 4 minutes.
all the way down to a consistent average of about a minute and a half, and this is the quickest time that I could get.
Well, there's the 3x3 done. Now for the next one.
The Wi-Fi was still down, so I decided to try this beast of a cube. I didn't hesitate before getting stuck in.
Right, let's see how long this takes.
Now, although it looks challenging, when you realise it's the exact same as a 3x3, only without the centrepiece, you then realise that everything you learnt for the 3x3 holds true for this cube too. Although, something wasn't working. I was using the algorithms, but couldn't seem to solve it. So I turned to an online Rubik's Cube solver, just to make sure that it was possible. And to my surprise, it wasn't. I had no clue how this could have happened, because I never took the cube apart in my entire life until now.
That takes so much effort.
It just sat jumbled up on a shelf because I couldn't solve it.
So much effort.
So I took the pieces out, and I put them where they needed to be. One of the pieces split into two, so I had to make a quick super glue pit stop before sticking it back into the cube.
There we go, look, I solved it, woo! I genuinely don't know why it wasn't possible.
Now that all the cubes were in the right spot, I decided to time myself.
I'm gonna do this one first, that one second, and the little one third.
And see how fast I could solve all 3 cubes.
Boom, first one done 5 minutes.
For this being my first time to ever learn how to solve the cubes, I thought it was a fairly decent time. But I knew I could do better.
Right.
I give it another go, with my aim being to solve them quicker than 10 minutes. But I began to have trouble with the cube again. So I did a lot of scientific NASA calculations to find out the issue. I found out, Google told me, that with this cube, although the algorithms are the same, there is a thing known as parity. And what parity basically is it can lead to two of the pieces being in the wrong place because we've solved some of the faces around the wrong hypothetical matching colour centrepiece. It would be the equivalent of solving a 3x3 like this. We just didn't know that because there was no centrepiece to tell me whether I was solving the face with its corresponding colour. In order to work around this parity, there's an algorithm that we can use to keep the first two layers solved but now leave the cube solvable. Hold the cube with the parity in the top layer. Rotate the middle layer away from you, the top layer clockwise, the middle away, top layer anti-clockwise, middle towards you, top anti-clockwise, middle towards you, top layer 180 degrees, and lastly, middle layer away. The first two layers remain solved, and now the top layer is solvable as well. Now that I knew every algorithm in order to solve the cubes, I retried improving my time from earlier. It was clear how the more I practiced, the quicker I would become, and the easier it would be to solve.
Boom, this one's done. Now we've got to do this.
The algorithms became muscle memory at this point and required little to no thought.
Just under 12 minutes.
Then after 1 week, I tried one more time, and I could finally beat 10 minutes. If you enjoyed, then make sure to like, subscribe, and do all that jazz, blah 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 blah. If you didn't, you don't have to.